If you have dinar and you would like the contract rate, which is substantial and moving up, ask them for it politely. If you have dinar, I don't care if you got 2 or 3 notes, or you got 20 or 50 million dinar, there are no limits. January is a very critical month for the rate change. Shabibi back in January 19, 2012 did a 4-point rate change from 1170 to 1166. The auctions have metamorphosed, they have evolved, they have progressed to what is now called international foreign currency transfers, and it's being done by private banks. You think the currency auctions that once existed that Iran was taking advantage of are still active? You're wrong. You're ignorant. Transfers, no longer auctions. This is not taking a currency and converting it into any other currency. This is moving a currency in and out of the country they could never do before. Don't you understand the value of that? Don't you understand how important that is for the monetary reform? Ain't got nothing to do with the CBI. It has to do with the private banks exchanging between each other and across the borders. There's some people out there that talk about the fact that the dollar auctions haven't changed. That's wrong. You should already know this by now. It's called the new reinforcement mechanism. Articles specifically tell you the dollar auctions are no longer at all. Everybody that is going to get a dollar from anywhere in Iraq is going to come from this new mechanism, and that's a fact. Question: if Iraq is increasing her foreign reserves through correspondent banks, isn't that international trade? Marks: yes, and that is why some are getting excited. Question: in reading these articles, I find they contradict each other. I remember a few months ago that only 13 banks were not in compliance with CBI standards. Today, I read 32 banks have limited functions. Is this difference between gov banks and private banks, or am I still in the weeds trying to understand foreign banking? Some of the recent articles are opinion articles. In the third quarter of 2024, the Central Bank of Iraq reported steady growth in both bank deposits and cash credit across state and private banks. Article: Iraq's bank deposits reached $97.32 billion in 2024's third quarter. These figures highlight a positive trend in Iraq's banking sector, with increased confidence in both savings and lending activities across the country. The last time Trump was in office, we became the #1 exporter of energy, which affected oil prices and affected Iraq. With Trump coming into office, we're going to quickly see what kind of impact he has on Iraq and the oil market. All we can do is sit back and watch. If Iraq thinks it's going to go in the same direction as it did last time and the value of oil per barrel goes down, which could hurt them big time. A friend says it could go on the 20th, and it would be a 3-day weekend. Marks: I was told a 3-day weekend is the easiest. I do have some bond contacts now saying their funds won't release until the 21st, after the inauguration. The banking side still believes it's earlier. There are still a number of banks expecting and being prepped for a rate between now and Saturday. I hope that happens. Groups have been silent for the last day or so. I believe it's very close, and the yo-yo news means they are still doing their best to cloud the timing. What we do know is they are doing the preparations right now to make this happen. They won't carry on until they have something out on Forex. Let's not forget the importance of that, because that's attached to WTO. I think that's an enormous indicator of where we're at. They've got to pull the plug. They've got to show that rate internationally on Forex, even if they show 1,310, which they won't because they'll implode economically, but they've got to put something up on that board. They've got to show the international world the currency, it's got to be up there. Soon I will be receiving, God willing, thousands and thousands of locations where you will be able to exchange. Not the ones where you call the US Treasury, where they tell you all the banks in America where you can exchange. Not that one. The one where the CBI is releasing thousands of banks all across the world. Those banks are going to collect the 3-0 notes. Michigan and California are the #1 states. Up until, through the end of September, was the government's busiest time period for having and holding sessions of Parliament, getting record steps done, all in preparation for them to revalue. Since September they only got a few odds and ends done. Why so little? Because they have a rate change date and they are working around that date, awaiting the revaluation. In this month of January you're witnessing them on a small level starting to implement their banking reforms via what they're doing through the currency auctions. That's another critical preparation step for them to revalue the currency. Member of the Popular Legal Movement, Ahmed Shahid al-Shamari, called today, Thursday, for reducing the salaries of the 3 presidencies, representatives, ministers, officials and those with special grades. Al-Shamari said in a statement to Al-Maluma agency, the salaries of officials burden the general budget of the Iraqi state, indicating that it is not permissible to grant retirement salaries to people who are not permanent employees. He added, reducing the salaries of the representatives and the 3 presidencies has become an urgent popular demand for objective, practical and legal reasons based on equality and social justice in the Iraqi state. He pointed out that the salaries of officials have reached astronomical figures that burden the state budget amid economic distress and the spread of unemployment and poverty in the country. He stressed the need to find new legislation to cancel the financial privileges of officials in the Iraqi state. Economic researcher Daya Abdul Karim said on Thursday that the shift towards electronic financial transactions and generalizing this to all government and private transactions will save the country from a shortage of cash. Abdul Karim told Al-Maluma, most countries in the world, and Europe in particular, have moved towards electronic financial transactions, such that the culture of dealing with electronic cards in buying and selling in various sectors has been created in society, and even with the decline of its economy, it will not suffer financially because its financial transactions are electronic. He added, these transactions make it unnecessary for governments to print currency continuously, as this process is financially costly. Iraq prints some denominations domestically and other denominations of currency are printed abroad, and printing them costs the financial value of this currency. He explained that the move towards electronic transactions requires intensive education in order to withdraw the cash mass from the street and to transform transactions, especially large amounts, through electronic cards. Consequently, the citizen will not be forced to withdraw large amounts from banks in order to buy a property, a car, etc., but will use his card to transfer money to the other party, which ensures the safety of financial transactions and prevents the cash mass from being wasted and taken out of the banking framework.